What if the US dollar lost its crown, and it's no longer the go-to currency for global trade? Could this be the tipping point for a global economic showdown? In a move that could shake the foundations of international trade, Donald Trump is now threatening to slap a massive 100% tariff on India and the BRICS nations. All because they're considering ditching the US dollar for trade. Could this spark the end of the dollar's dominance? The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are growing increasingly critical of the US dollar's grip on global trade. And now they're exploring alternatives to replace it. But former President Donald Trump isn't having it. He's warning that if BRICS nations follow through with their plans to reduce reliance on the US dollar, he could unleash a devastating 100% tariff on their goods. That means double the cost on everything from electronics to oil to even your morning coffee, if they proceed with their plan to move away from using the US dollar. Could we really see a full-scale economic war? Let's start with the US dollar itself. For decades, the US dollar has been the world's dominant currency, used in international trade, global investments, and held as foreign exchange reserves by countries around the globe. Why is the US dollar so powerful? The short answer is trust and stability. Since the end of World War II, the US dollar has been tied to the Bretton Woods system, which essentially established it as the standard for global trade and finance. Countries need US dollars to buy oil, natural resources, and to settle debts in the international arena. This dominance has given the US a unique advantage in global economics. But over the years, countries have begun to question this dependence on the dollar. BRICS countries, with their growing economic influence, have been looking for ways to reduce their reliance on the US currency. Now let's talk about BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa represent a large portion of the world's population and economic activity. Together, these nations account for over 40% of the global population and nearly a quarter of global GDP. In recent years, BRICS has been working on alternative ways to conduct trade. For example, they've been exploring the use of local currencies in transactions instead of the US dollar. Russia and China have already made strides in this direction, signing deals to trade oil and other commodities using their own currencies instead of the dollar. And India has expressed interest in doing the same. But why would these countries want to ditch the dollar? Well, a few key reasons. First, it would reduce their vulnerability to US economic sanctions. Since the US controls a large portion of global financial systems, countries can be hit hard if they're cut off from the dollar-based system. Second, it would give these countries more control over their own economies. By trading in their own currencies, they reduce the risk of being at the mercy of the dollar's fluctuations. So now we get to the heart of the matter. Why is Trump so opposed to BRICS' move away from the US dollar? And why is he threatening to slap a 100% tariff on their goods? Well, Trump's perspective is that the US dollar is crucial to American economic power. Losing its dominance, or allowing competitors to weaken it, could hurt the US economy in numerous ways. The tariffs he's threatening would be a way to punish BRICS countries for what he perceives as an attack on the US economy. Trump's strategy of using tariffs as a bargaining chip isn't new. During his presidency, he was known for launching trade wars with China, the EU, and other countries. The idea behind this is simple: force the other side to the negotiation table by making their goods more expensive for American consumers. It's a move that forces countries to either back down or suffer economically. A 100% tariff would essentially double the price of anything imported from these countries, making it much more expensive for American consumers to buy products like electronics, cars, and even clothing from BRICS nations. But of course, this isn't just a one-way street. BRICS countries could retaliate, and that's where things get really complicated. Now, let's take a closer look at the potential consequences of a full-scale tariff war between the US and BRICS. First, US consumers would be hit hard. Imagine paying 100% more for a new smartphone or higher prices for imported goods from China or India. The cost of living would rise, which could lead to inflationary pressure. And keep in mind, many American companies rely on cheap imports to keep prices low. If they can't get those products, their costs go up, and they might pass those costs on to consumers. But it wouldn't just be American consumers who feel the pinch. BRICS nations would likely retaliate with their own tariffs or trade restrictions. For instance, China could target U.S. agricultural exports like soybeans or pork. Russia might block American oil and gas exports. The global supply chain could face massive disruptions, causing shortages and rising costs worldwide. In the long term, the very foundation of the global trading system could be shaken. If BRICS countries start turning their backs on the US dollar and forming stronger trade alliances with each other, the dollar could lose its status as the world's reserve currency. And if that happens, it's not just the US that would be affected, it's the entire global financial system. But let's take a step back and ask the big question. Could this actually lead to a shift away from the US dollar? The truth is, it's unlikely that BRICS could completely replace the dollar anytime soon. The dollar's dominance isn't just about power, it's about trust. No other currency, not even the euro or the Chinese yuan, has the same level of international confidence that the dollar does. But could BRICS countries create a parallel system? One that challenges the US dollar over time? It's possible. And that's exactly why this is such a crucial moment in global economics. Trump's threat isn't just about tariffs. It's about maintaining the status quo. But could this backfire? Could pushing countries like China and Russia closer together actually accelerate the move away from the dollar? So what's next? The US and BRICS countries are clearly on a collision course. But what could happen in the coming months? For one, we could see the global financial system grow even more fragmented. Countries may start diversifying their reserves, pulling away from the dollar and stockpiling more gold, or looking at other currencies like the yuan or digital currencies like Bitcoin. The rise of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, could also play a big role in reshaping the global financial landscape. For now, all eyes will be on how these trade tensions develop. Will Trump's tariff threats lead to a new economic war, or will cooler heads prevail? So that's the situation as it stands. The US dollar's reign as the world's dominant currency is under threat, and BRICS countries are leading the charge to create a new financial order. Trump's 100% tariff threat is just one piece of the puzzle, but it could have far-reaching consequences for global trade, finance, and even politics. What do you think? Could we really see the end of the US dollar's dominance? And how will these tensions play out between the US and BRICS? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this ongoing economic battle.